After more than 25 years, the legendary Fatal Fury series is finally making a comeback with Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, the first new mainline entry since Garou Mark of the Wolves in 1999, serving as a continuation of that game's story and a revival of one of SNK's most beloved franchises. The significance of this release cannot be overstated. A quarter century later, the Wolves are howling once again, and the question on everyone's mind is whether City of the Wolves can live up to its storied legacy. Let's dive into this long-awaited sequel and see if it was worth the wait. After booting the game for the first time and watching the amazing intro, which I will talk about later, you're greeted by a main menu that feels like a page straight out of a comic book. The various game modes are arranged in panel-like sections, immediately setting the tone for the visual identity of the game. And the comic book inspiration does not stop there. It extends into the game's unique graphical style. One of the first things that hits you when you start playing is the striking visual presentation. City of the Wolves runs on the same Unreal Engine foundation as the King of Fighters 15, but SNK has gone for a bold, stylized aesthetic that really pops off the screen. The visuals are colorful, vibrant, and soaked in a comic-inspired flair, a style that immediately sets this game apart from its predecessors. It truly feels like famed SNK artist Tonko's illustrations have come to life. Characters are rendered in high contrast, with bold outlines and saturated colors, giving them a modernized 90s arcade feel. It is as if the classic Fatal Fury art leapt off the page and into 3D. Every punch and special move is accompanied by flashy visual effects that explode with energy. The stages are just as detailed and dynamic, from the gritty streets of South Town to roaring wrestling arenas. Longtime fans will appreciate nostalgic callbacks like the Fright Express train stage, now reborn in glorious 3D, or Fatal Fury 1's amusement park brought back with new life. At its core, City of the Wolves feels like a true successor to Mark of the Wolves, and that means tight, polished 2D fighting with some familiar mechanics. Veterans will be happy to see that just defense mechanic returns, now joined by a new hyper defense for multi-hit attacks. The Alt-TOP system is back now as SPG, or the Selective Potential Gear, letting you set a section of your life bar to gain a power boost and access to certain moves when your health is in that range. These returning systems preserve the strategic depth fans remember. But SNK did not stop at nostalgia. They've supercharged the gameplay with a brand new mechanic that steals the show: the Rev system. Rev is an innovative system that gives you a secondary gauge and a suite of powerful techniques available right from the start of a match. I have to admit, when SNK first unveiled the Rev system, I wasn't sure how it would fit, but after spending time with it, both during the previous open betas as well as for the past week playing this game prior to release, I am absolutely loving what it brings to the table. Now here's a quick rundown for those that haven't played the game yet. We have Rev Arts. These are enhanced versions of your character's special moves. By inputting a special move command with extra button press, you perform a powered up attack that consumes the Rev gauge. It is basically an EX move if we're talking about other fighting games. We have the Rev Blow, which is a hard-hitting strike that blends offense and defense. It is similar to the TOP attack from the previous Mark of the Wolves. A Rev Blow has armor frames that let you brush off incoming attacks as you swing, and it knocks the opponent back with significant force. You can even do one in midair or combo into it after certain moves, making it a versatile tool to clobber over aggressive opponents. It is tied to the SPG system, so you can only perform Rev Blows when your life meter is in the SPG region. We also have the Rev Axle, which is a combo extender that allows you to cancel one Rev Art or one EX move into another one. Essentially, Rev Axle functions like a Roman cancel or chain system. You can string multiple special moves back to back by spending the Rev gauge, creating flashy custom combos. And then we have the Rev Guard, which is, I would say, the unusual one and the one that I still need time to get used to it. Now this is a special powered up block that pushes the opponent away on contact. Just by holding the Rev Guard button, your character will block an attack with extra force, negating chip damage and forcing some distance between you and your attacker. Every time you use the Rev action, the gauge fills up a bit, and if you go too hard, it will overheat and lock you out of using rev moves until it cools down. This means you can't just spam powered up moves without restraint. You have to pace yourself or deliberately back off to let the meter reset. I found this risk-reward balance incredibly fun. It's thrilling to start a round with so many offensive options at your fingertips and decide when to go all in. Super moves are of course back in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. In this game, they're called gears. Each character has 2 level 1s, 2 level 2s, and 1 explosive level 3 known as the hidden gear. While level 1 and level 2 only require the super meter, the hidden gear requires a full super bar as well as your character being in SPG. The result is a cinematic action that leaves you in awe. Now for those of you who might find all this overwhelming or just want to jump in and enjoy the action, SNK has also added a smart style. This mode simplifies inputs, letting players perform special moves and flashy combos and even ref techniques with fewer button presses. It is perfect for newcomers or casual fans who want to experience the excitement without needing to master complex input. Crucially, it doesn't feel like an easy mode. Smart style is well integrated and balanced, offering accessibility while preserving the game's competitive spirit. But the thing though is, if these players who are in Smart Style want to graduate and start competing and go in high level, they will have to eventually switch to the arcade style. And that's because one important aspect or mechanic of the game, the cancels, the ability to cancel certain special moves and extend your combos with the cancel, is not available during Smart Style. Now in my experience, as I said, the rev system never felt gimmicky or overcomplicated. On the contrary, it clicked quickly with me and added that strategic depth to every match. As someone who played these games and been a fan of this series and KOF for as long as I can remember, I found myself right at home, and it does not require you to know KOF. It does not require you to be a good KOF player or a good Fatal Fury player, because this is a brand new game. Now let's talk a little bit about the roster. A fighting game could live or die by its roster, right? And City of the Wolves offers a respectable launch lineup that should please both old school Fatal Fury fans and newcomers. Now at launch, the game features 17 playable fighters. A mix of returning legends, cult favorite, veterans, and brand new faces are stepping into the ring for the first time. Now first we have the majority of the Mark of the Wolves cast back, with the exception of Freeman and Kim Jae-hoon. And returning from the legacy characters, we have Mai Shiranui, a fan favorite, I am not surprised Mai is here, and Billy Khan. We also have Kain Highline, who was the final boss in Garou Mark of the Wolves and is now playable without any special analog. Now of course it wouldn't be a new installment without new characters, and City of the Wolves introduces a couple of intriguing newcomers to spice things up. First we have Preacha, which is a notable addition. She is a flashy Muay Thai fighter who also happens to be a scientist and one that was trained by Joe Higashi. Vox Reaper is another original character and is a mysterious assassin who is said to be an apprentice to Grant, who is the sub-boss from the previous game. Both Preacha and Vox fit right in, and I quickly took a liking to their designs and movesets, specifically or especially Vox, who right now I'm probably going to be maining. And then we have the wildcards. Now we said the launch roster is 17 characters, but 2 of those characters are special because for the first time ever, an SNK game is featuring guest characters not created by SNK and actually are real people. First of all, we have the football superstar or soccer superstar Cristiano Ronaldo, yes, in the flesh, who joins the fight, as does real-world DJ Salvatore Ganacci. And now Ronaldo obviously uses his soccer or football skills to beat his enemies with energy footballs and aerial bicycle kicks. Ganacci, on the other hand, attacks with the power of music, using his voice as a weapon and even swimming through the air mid-battle, channeling the wild energy of his music videos. Now these 2 guest fighters are completely out of left field, and I understand that some fans were not happy with their inclusion, but importantly, they don't feel overpowered or gimmicky in gameplay. They're fun bonus characters that round out a diverse roster. Now let's talk a little bit about the single player content. In recent years, fighting games have set high bar for single-player content, ranging from cinematic story modes to expansive RPG-like campaigns. Now, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves takes a more traditional approach compared to other games. Now, if you compare it to like Street Fighter 6 World Tour or Mortal Kombat cinematic narrative, the solo out offering of City of the Wolves are exciting and promising, but somewhat limited at launch. There's no massive story campaign or a full retelling of Southtown Saga. Instead, there are two main ways to experience the narrative. First, we have the arcade mode, which gives each character a prologue, a rival cutscene, and a beautifully drawn ending that adds meaningful depth to the saga's world. However, much like classic fighting games, these endings are more of a what-if scenarios than a definitive canon. The player is left to interpret which endings are official and which are not. That said, to SNK's credit, most of these endings are written in a way that they could all conceivably fit together with slight adjustments. They're also some of the longest and most detailed endings seen in a fighting game, an absolute treat for longtime SNK lore fans like myself. That said, I believe newcomers will have a hard time enjoying the story. The game does not offer any kind of recap or summary of what happened in previous entries. This is especially challenging considering that the last mainline Fatal Fury title came out over 25 years ago, and back then, the English translations of those games were notoriously inaccurate. For those who want to dive deeper into the lore or enjoy more single-player content, there's episodes of Southtown Mode, or EOST. Now, this mode is essentially a solo RPG-style mission mode. You pick a character and navigate a map of Southtown and Second Southtown, taking on various battles with unique conditions while earning XP for your victories. As you level up, you can unlock new skills and power-ups and earn rewards like extra colors, customization patterns, and gallery content. It reminds me a little bit of Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper's World Tour mod on the PSP. Yes, I am that old. Now, EOSC also features short endings for each character. While not as long or fully voiced like the arcade endings, some do add nice little touches to the expanding lore. Speaking of lore, EOSC is packed with it. As you play, you unlock canon character interactions, which feel like spiritual successors to the old SNK drama CDs. As well as fascinating background information on stages, their location within Southtown, their connection to the characters, and their place in the world's history. I found this aspect particularly compelling. However, I do feel the mode would benefit from more artwork, especially during the canon dialogues and mode progression. Adding visual flair would make these side stories more accessible and enjoyable for fans. Once you finish an episode with a character, you unlock a harder version called Southtown Plus. While episode of Southtowns is enjoyable at first, it gives you a reason to play with each character, and the RPG elements of leveling and more customization are a fun touch, it does become repetitive over time. You end up fighting a mix of custom created characters and main roster members repeatedly to level up enough to beat the next boss. The gameplay modifiers aren't diverse enough, and I found the most interesting ones are in Southtown Plus, which means you have to finish the first run before you can face these enemies with some cool modifiers, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity. The mode also includes minigames, which are new versions if you will, or recreation of classic SNK bonus stages, like the bottle breaking stage from Auto Fighting. However, these are accessible through a separate sub-menu within AOSC, rather than being integrated into the main flow of the mode or acting as required challenges to clear before advancing to the next level. I also think this is a missed opportunity. Including them organically as part of the journey would have added pacing and variety to the experience. Currently, episodes of Southtown is a great foundation for something much bigger, but for now, it feels limited. That said, as is often the case with modern fighting games, post-launch updates and DLC could help the mode evolve and shine even more. This has really the potential for me as a fan of the lore to be the best single-player experience when it comes to a fighting game. My hope is that EOSC will eventually become the main narrative mode for the game, allowing players to replay the core story of City of the Wolves, as well as explore side stories for each character and perhaps even relive the storylines from the previous Fatal Fury titles. As it stands, the mode primarily appeals to die-hard fans, which is a shame because you can see so much work has gone into it. That said, during my playthrough, I still enjoyed powering up my favorite fighters, unlocking the endings, and diving into the canon character dialogues, something I personally found deeply rewarding as a longtime fan. Now, aside from EOSC and arcade mode, you have your standard versus, training, and tutorial mode. The latter will walk you through the game's new mechanics and makes you feel right at home. There's also a mission mode for combo trials, but it currently only includes 5 trials in arcade style and 3 in smart style per character. As someone who enjoyed the extensive and often brutal trial challenges in the King of Fighters 13, I find the current offering underwhelming, and in some cases I question the real-world practicality of some of these included combos. Now hopefully more trial missions will be added in the future. In Versus mode, SNK surprised fans by including the option to play matches using the classic multi-lane system, a nod to the bold mechanics of earlier Fatal Fury games. At the moment, only one stage supports this feature, but SNK has promised more in future updates. Not only is it a fun throwback that adds some variety and nostalgia to the gameplay, but it actually has a really cool combo mechanic where you can extend the combo by sending your opponent to the other lane and following up. I think it looks great, and this is something I wanted to also see in the EOSC in some of the challenges, but so far I haven't, so maybe it's there and I haven't seen it yet. Now, as for training mode, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves brings over the same tools seen in the King of Fighters 15. While that's not necessarily a bad thing, it still feels a bit lacking compared to something like Street Fighter 6's excellent and detailed training suite. Much like with EOSC, the foundation is solid, but I hope SNK continues to build on it and eventually evolves it into a more robust training environment that can truly compete with modern standards. On a more positive note, SNK included a robust color edit customization for fans. As you play through EOST, you unlock new colors and patterns that can be used in the color edit mode to personalize your character's outfits. There's also a jukebox similar in spirit to the King of Fighters 15's DJ station, which allows you to collect and listen to classic Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting music tracks. The jukebox can also be used to customize the music for the in-game stages, modes, and menus, which is a nice touch. And speaking of music, kudos to the SNK sound team, because the soundtrack of this game is fantastic, and I found myself just going to the jukebox and just listening to the amazing tunes for the stages as well as some of the ending music. It just sounds amazing. But still, when you compare the content of other fighting games, City of the Wolves single player offering feel more like an appetizer than a main course. It is clear the focus here is on the core versus and online gameplay. You do feel that SNK tried something new, and this is by far the game that has the most single player content compared to King of Fighters or Samurai Showdown or any other games that we had before. But again, it still feels like it can be more. It still feels like a foundation and that SNK can build on it, and I hope they're gonna do that. So if you're hoping for a full-fledged cinematic story mode, you might find AOSC fun, but ultimately underwhelming. The game also includes a gallery mode where you can review all unlocked prologues, endings, rival scenes, and special videos, including nostalgic attract sequences from previous games and the new anime-style intro. Now, speaking of that intro, that is one aspect that made the Fatal Fury fan in me very happy. The game's anime-style intro is fantastic. In fact, SNK went the extra mile by collaborating by legendary anime director Masami Obari to create a special animated introduction for the game. If that name rings a bell, it's because Obari's son was the director behind the classic Fatal Fury animated movies in the 90s, and his signature style is all over the new intro. When you boot up the game, you're treated to a gorgeous animated music video that showcases the characters and sets the tone. The animation is fluid, bursting with energy and dramatic flair, just like the old Fatal Fury anime movies, and it hits you right in the nostalgia. Seeing Terry, Rock, Mai, and others in high-quality hand-drawn animation again after so many years gave me goosebumps. It feels like a love letter to fans of the series. Now, moving from single player, let's talk about online, because this is where many fighters will end up spending most of their time these days. And in this day and age, a fighting game's longevity is often defined by its online play, and SNK has come prepared. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves comes packed with a robust online suite that checks almost all the boxes. First and foremost, the game uses rollback netcode and crossplay platform from the get-go, which is absolutely crucial for smooth low latency matches, as well as to grow the community. In fact, SNK held 2 public beta tests before release specifically to fine-tune the netcode and online infrastructure, and it shows. The result is a solid online experience that's night and day improvement over the days of the King of Fighters 15. During the beta period, especially the second one, I was able to get matches quick against players from pretty far regions, and I even played some transatlantic matches and the rollback netcode held up great. So by the time of launch, and even though I was only able to test few online matches due to the game hasn't been releasing yet when I was testing it, the online games I had felt buttery smooth in most cases. I can confidently say this is the best netcode implementation SNK has delivered so far. And the addition of full crossplay between PlayStation, Xbox and PCs from the first day means the player pool is unified. No matter which platform you're on, you can fight against everyone, which is great for keeping matchmaking quick and the community together. As for online modes, there's a variety of options. You can jump into ranked matches to test your skills and climb the ladder, or hit up casual matches for more low pressure bouts. The game also supports creating the join-in room matches or player lobbies where you can invite friends to spar with a group. A great surprise to the room matches was the return of the amazing King of Fighters 14 style lobbies, something we dearly missed for the past 2 main SNK titles. You can also set your training mode on while waiting for matchmaking, which is a small thing nowadays, but an important quality of life feature. And regarding ranked matches, the game currently uses a unified ranking system, regardless of the character you play. This is something SNK is actively looking into, as many players and fans, including myself, have requested a per character ranking system. Speaking of ranks, SNK currently uses a letter-based ranking system, which in my opinion is a bit confusing. Hopefully rank names will be reworked in the near future to make progression clearer and more intuitive. One of the most unique additions to online play, however, is the clone system. SNK has implemented an AI-driven ghost feature where the game uses machine learning to generate an AI clone of a player based on their gameplay data. In other words, as you fight online, the system is studying your style and creating a clone that mimics how you play. You can challenge this clone in single player to test yourself, or even let your own AI clone battle others. It's a fascinating concept, like having a shadow version of the community to spar with anytime. For example, if none of your friends are online, you can still fight their AI clones, which should behave similarly to how they play. I tried this feature out during the pre-launch period, and while I was only able to face one clone beside the SNK employees' clones, I was impressed with how the AI adapted. It genuinely felt like playing against another person. While it's too early to make a final verdict on clone mode, if it works as well as when I tried it, it could become one of the most valuable and innovative training tools in any SNK fighter to date. Beyond that, City of the Wolves delivers all the standard online features you would expect: match replays, global leaderboards, and even an online training mode, where you can jump into a room with a friend and practice setups together. For launch, the online features set feels impressively complete. That said, there are still a few issues that need to be addressed. For example, inviting friends using a 10-digit room number instead of the wolf tag ID, or the overly long room ID strings for private matches. Much like with the EOSC mode, the core systems are solid, but there's definitely room for SNK to expand and refine them. Given how SNK actively gathered community feedback during the betas and has already addressed many early issues, I'm optimistic that the remaining rough edges, like the ranking system for example, will be smoothed out quickly. In short, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is well equipped for online warriors. Ranked casual lobbies, rollback netcode, crossplay, and an innovative AI clone system. It's all here. Whether you're grinding for the top ranks or just sparring casually with friends, the game provides smooth, well-rounded online experience. It's a strong foundation for the game's competitive scene and long-term longevity. Now, while the game may be launching with a mix of impressive features and few missing ones, it is clear that SNK has long-term plans to keep the game thriving. From what's been officially announced, a post-launch DLC roadmap is already in place, and it's shaping up to be very exciting. Season 1 will introduce 5 additional characters over the course of the year, further expanding the roster. Among the confirmed DLC fighters are none other than Ken Masters and Chun-Li from Capcom's Street Fighter universe, marking an unprecedented crossover collaboration for the Fatal Fury series. In addition to crossover characters, several classic Fatal Fury veterans who didn't make the base roster are also slated to return. First we have Andy Bogard, and then Joe Higashi, and surprisingly, Mr. Big from Out of Fighting. And if you play the game's story mode, you'll understand that Mr. Big plays a big part of this chapter. And if your personal favorites haven't been announced yet, do not worry. Series producer Yasuyuki Oda recently confirmed that most legacy Fatal Fury characters will return over time. SNK is also planning to add new stages and classic gameplay features, including the Real Bout Out of Bounds system, doubling down on their goal to make City of the Wolves the best Fatal Fury game ever made. Beyond the characters themselves, I fully expect SNK to support City of the Wolves with the same commitment they've shown with other games. That likely means regular balance patches, new stages, and potentially even new gameplay features over time. The competitive potential here is huge. The game offers deep mechanics and a low barrier to entry, thanks to its dual control schemes, and also features a cast of beloved characters ready to create hype moment. If SNK continues to roll out quality updates and exciting DLC content, City of the Wolves community will have plenty of reasons to stay engaged. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves releases officially on the 24th of April, but you can get access from today, the 21st, if you pre-ordered the game. That's 3 days earlier. So let me know in the comments section, what do you think about the game? Have you played it yet? And what are the top 5 features you want to see come back in the future? Let me know all that and more in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.